Hello and welcome to Total Recall. Um, we're going to be talking about um, Rise of Skywalker, and we're going to compare the finished product, the movie, with the sort of first draft script that was done by
Colin Trevorrow.
Colin Trevorrow.
He's a writing partner, which I can't.
Yeah,
Sorry about the writing partner.
Yeah,
I can't
we'll
remember.
add it to the notes, the show notes. But yeah, and we just wanted to kind of like compare that script, which I think was called Duel of the Fates. Was it?
Duel of Fates.
Yeah, and compare that with the finished product, which was rewritten by J.J. Abrams and directed, and I guess a lot of the talk I'd heard about that script was that when JJ, because Colin was gonna direct the movie, so this was like his script, his treatment, and then when JJ Abrams came in and was gonna take over, that he was just gonna he just threw that script out the window and started fresh, and reading this script, it wasn't that. There's so it's a very different script but there is you do see a lot of the elements that end up in the movie.
In the finished movie, yeah, definitely a lot of beats there, and I had first heard that Colin Trevorrow was working on a Star Wars movie, kind of near the beginning of this new trilogy, and it went in and out one ear and out the other, kind of out of sight, out of mind. I had seen one of his earlier works, Safety Not Guaranteed. It's like a time travel movie, really good, but it just I put it on the back burner and kind of forgot that he actually had a full screenplay ready to go for this until you had brought it back into my mind. So I was excited, and because I thought he was a talented director, and I haven't seen his work with he did the Jurassic, so I think one or two of the Jurassic World movies. Okay. So I was excited to see what he could have brought to the Star Wars fold, and it was good. I'm on board for Colin Trevorrow's vision of this.
Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised about the script. I mean, this is like a controversial thing. Like anytime you talk about Star Wars,
I know
you're asking for it.
It's dangerous territory.
Yeah,
we love it. We love it. This is
yeah, and this I loved Rise of Skywalker. I really liked the way it came out. I just from start to finish, it was awesome, and and I understand why they changed what they changed and what they needed to do to get to that. But yeah, this script is really cool, and I imagine that if Colin Trevorrow had directed it would have evolved into something else too. There's so many in the finished movie. There's so many little beats and little character moments and jokes and story things. So dense that is kind of the product of rewrites and last minute and improv on the set and stuff. And I think he probably would have done the same with his.
Yeah, seeing I mean, call it what you want, fan service, this, that, and the other. But those Easter eggs, reading them in the script, I would just be sitting there and I'm okay, we had our Easter eggs in the movie, and then there's extra Easter eggs in this script, so I'm
yeah, and there's a lot of Princess Leia in it, which I'm not sure the timing, so I don't know if he wrote this after or before. I imagine it was probably.
I think the date I saw for the script was 2016.
Okay,
is when this draft was, and you're right, Tom. The Princess Leia's role in Colin Trevorrow's script, it was so meaty and would have been if she, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher.
Just looking what it seems like the initial plan was for this new series was each movie highlights a different member of that cast of that threesome.
Yeah.
So Force Awakens was the Harrison Ford movie, and
yes.
Then the Last Jedi was the Mark Hamill movie, and then this one was going to be the Carrie Fisher movie, and
Turned
sadly,
out,
yeah. But yeah, she gets a lot of great moments, and it does it picks up a lot more from from The Last Jedi than Rise of Skywalker did. I imagine it's like J.J. Abrams created this world, and then was sort of involved somewhat in part 2, but it was like it was somebody else's baby, like somebody else was in the driver's seat, even though he might have contributed to it or whatever.
Yeah.
But then and he J.J. Abrams was just kind of done. He was like, okay, I did my version, and now we're going to hand it off to like a different director every movie. And so when he came back, it's kind of like, well, I have my story that I was setting out to tell, and I have my characters that I love and adore, and it's kind of like these Rian Johnson characters, I'm not as attached to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I understand that as a director. So he does kind of maybe like course correct, or and I think he still did it in an organic way. Like he did it is kind of like a what's it called, like a corpse, the narrative corpse or something, where like somebody he starts telling the story, and
exquisite corpse,
exquisite corpse, and so then and then Rian Johnson does the next chapter, and then he does the next. So there's like that kind of stuff. But this, like, I guess like the biggest thing, like this version of the script continues the like Rey's parents are nobody plot line from Last Jedi, and then also like Rose Tycho is a major character in this, which it seemed like we were building towards that with The Last Jedi, but then she became more of like a background character when JJ took over.
The with the Colin script, to me, I thought it had like like for the original trilogy, it's like, okay, Empire is like the darkest point in the trilogy. I thought this one, Colin's script, had bite and edge to it, and was pretty dark itself. Like, thought it was edgier than I was trying to put my head into like a Disney executive's head, reading the script and being like, I want to change this, like trying to see like what would cause alarm for like someone at Disney reading this to give studio notes on them. I was just
yeah, I mean, like when JJ did Force Awakens, it's like so much it's so much like A New Hope. It's so much the first Star Wars movie. And I think he said like that was the movie that he was most connected. So it's so much that. But he also kind of has his Empire Strikes Back moments and his Return of the Jedi moments. So, and then Rian Johnson, when he was doing The Last Jedi, it's so hard to keep these like subtitles straight. But like when he was doing The Last Jedi, it's kind of like he did the same thing too. It's like, okay, I got my Star Wars beats, I got my Empire beats, and I have my Jedi beats. So then, of course, with this one, it's like they're all doing their own little trilogy within one movie.
Yeah, like when I was watching through, both the movie and reading the screenplay, like they would have a whole new scene, a whole new something going on, but you can tell it's like, okay, they were this scene where they're flying the Falcon through like an ice cavern. Oh, that's Lando and Nien Nunb like going through the Death Star. Like that's their like version of that.
Yeah, it's like they're very much like remixes, and I'm all for.
For it. Yeah, like I can only imagine holding on that thought. Like I can only imagine if. In 2001, I was seeing, like, this trilogy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what would my, like, even... Because I'm loving them now.
Yeah.
I'm like, how, like, collapsed would my skull be if I had seen these, like...
Yeah, because, I mean, like, I did recently rewatch Attack of the Clones. And it is, like, the second of, like, the prequel trilogy. And again, like, big controversy, whatever, but like I'm so like not a fan of the prequel trilogy, and like I want to be, and then it has its moments.
I know.
And I really appreciate the audacity of it and the like experimentation of, and like George Lucas and like his quirky sense of humor. Like I appreciate those aspects, but it's like it's just not like delivering what I want. And you know what I kind of realized watching Attack of the Clones was that like you can have all these cool action sequences and all this cool technology, but like it doesn't mean a thing if you don't care about like those characters and what they're going through, and if you can relate to them, and if you like them, and you think they're funny, or if you're scared of them, or like if you don't have that emotional connection, like that's what matters. And I think like JJ gets that. Like JJ Abrams understands. Like that's like if you look at all his work, it has this emotional core of like characters you care about and you like and you enjoy hanging out with them.
Oh yeah, and like whenever JJ Abrams. Like, I knew he did, like, he wrote, like, he started out doing screenplays, like, regarding Henry, and he did, like, Joyride and stuff. But then, when he started directing, I remember talking with my friends and being like, J.J. Abrams is the next Spielberg. So, it's so funny that, like, only the logical arc for his career is to be directing a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It's like, he was, like, creeping towards this his whole career. It's like, okay, it's like, it's, like, too ridiculously like perfect to have him
even
directing
like,
a Star Wars.
His like debut was like writing a vehicle for Harrison Ford, you know, with regarding Henry.
It's like he's like, we're back in the saddle again, Harrison.
And
Harrison's like, who are you?
And how great was it like you know, seeing like Harrison again. You know, huge spoilers if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker or Force Awakens or Last Jedi, like forget it, but like, you know, turn this off because now. Big spoilers on a movie that came out like a year ago at this point.
So consider this episode a spoiler special.
But so you know, like the appearance of Harrison Ford in Rise of Skywalker, and so like just, you know, really great scene. Like what J.J. Abrams ended up making like felt almost like it had all the action and fun of Star Wars, but then it also kind of became like a Lasse Hallström movie.
What's a Lasse Hallström?
Okay, well, like you know, like it would be like a lot of you know, sadness and depression and like death and you know, stuff by the water and like you know, all these clouds and water splashing and people dying tragic deaths and like sacrificing their life for like, you know, very like, you know, hard to define reasons and stuff, you know, and that what like the sort of you know, that sort of climactic battle between Rey and Kylo Ren kind of felt like that. Like it wasn't like an angry battle. It wasn't like a triumphant, happy battle. It was just this like relentlessly sad battle, you know?
Yeah.
And lyrical.
That's what kind of like Kylo Ren's character from the movie to the screenplay felt a little different. When the screenplay, he went like about as dark as his character could go to like, he pushed it to the dark edge where even in Rise of Skywalker, the movie, he was from like the beginning kind of the movie. He was still he was all working his way towards his character moment at the end. Does that make
and he was like, I thought he was kind of like scary in Rise of Skywalker. And he kind of had these like almost like horror movie moments and things, you know, where like he's like, you know, like more powerful than you could think, and just like and like some of the sets and things kind of reminded me of like The Shining or something. Like especially like they had all these low shots where like they're going through the hallways of like Star Destroyers and stuff, and it did remind me of like The Shining with like, you know, riding on his big wheel, and it emphasized like a weird thing. Like it emphasized the sort of scuffed up floors of like the Death Star and things like, you know, and the sets from the old Star Wars.
That's what I love. You know what I mean? You don't get that from the prequels. It's too like sanitized.
It's very
Whereas like I like seeing like the edges and the rough, like you know, like I want to see the. I know it's a rubber suit. I like it in the frame and everything. You mentioned The Shining. For some reason, I got like big time like Alien Prometheus vibes.
Yeah.
With in the movie, and I got some Alien vibes from the screenplay. In the screenplay, there's like a lot of mining colony action, so I'm like, okay, that's Alien vibes. And then in the flick, like especially the Emperor's like lair whatever, I can't remember the planet that he was on.
Exegol.
Yeah. And you got those big statues, look like Prometheus, kind of like...
They were, that's right. That was like a Prometheus thing.
And then, whenever they're creeping around for that final battle, you got the strobing, and it felt like the scene where Ripley was like going into the Queen's hive, and even that throne looked like the alien Queen, like, wait, I don't know. Alien was just like on my mind that whole like third act.
I didn't catch that, but that's totally... And like all these directors are bringing in, I guess they're bringing in like their whole sci-fi, because like
I love it.
Last Jedi had like a lot of like Battlestar Galactica stuff in it, so like you're bringing even George Lucas, when he was doing his prequels, kind of had some like Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers stuff in it,
and we love it. Like George, bring it all in. I like when people... I'm all about it. Bring everything that you're into and make something like new out of it.
Yeah, I guess just diving into this unused used script a little bit, you got like a really great sort of opening scene. Like you have the finished film had almost like two of those James Bond pre-credit sequences.
Yeah.
You had like one for the bad guy. You had like Kylo Ren on his quest.
Yeah.
And then you had like the good guys doing their thing where they like jumped from like they jumped through like 10 Star Wars movies worth of like adventures and just to kind of like give, because like this is your last one, like
go out with a
bang and like just give you everything before like the story proper starts. But like this script does have a pretty cool opening scene. It's like there's like a graphite BB-8.
I know, like undercover BB-8.
The scrap, like a little bit of the graphite scratches off, and you see it's like, okay, it's the white and orange. And he's like undercover.
And I love it too that like that orange and yellow for BB-8 has become so iconic. With the orange and yellow with like the fighter pilot, the X-wing pilot suits, but like. Orange and yellow under that graphite droid. That's a BB-8 undercover.
Yeah, and he and like one of those things about Return of the Jedi was like it like has a great reveal for like each character as they show up.
My God.
Everybody, and so I feel like this is kind of referencing that, and BB-8 shows up and Poe shows up and Rose shows up, and like they got their little team together, and then there's like a Tusken Raider with like a double lightsaber, and then like the Tusken Raider robes come off, and it's like Rey, and she's in like a black Jedi outfit, like Mark Hamill in Return of the Jedi.
Somehow I was like creeping around the net and saw they had done Ralph McQuarrie art for the movie, just like what is that, post or pre-production art, and they had Rey's outfit with her lights. She looks so awesome.
Yeah, and she's like throwing the lightsaber around, and it's like a boomerang lightsaber, which they did end up using in the final movie too. She does do a little, and like everybody's appearance, has kind of like evolves by the third one, which is kind of how the original trilogy went. And so like in this script, it's like Kylo Ren has like a beard and stuff, and Rey is in like the black Jedi robes, and like so everybody's kind of gone through this like visual change where like in the movie, I feel like JJ kind of like reset everybody, like that everybody was starting on like this other journey in the second one, and then he's like, hey, I really liked the designs from the first, let's bring them back.
Yeah, like when you see Poe Dameron in the Rise of Skywalker, he looks fresher and cleaner than he did in the first one. He looks like he got the little electric shave on. Skin looks tighter. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, like I liked that you like could see the journey, that they were on, like visually with this, and it had, so they have like their little adventure, and then Kylo Ren's on his adventure.
Yes.
So like And a lot of the action takes place on Coruscant, which is like the capital city of, and like a lot of people associate that with the prequel trilogy. But like it was like if you were into like the Star Wars expanded universe, like before the prequels came out, it was referenced in games, it was referenced in the novels, like in the Star Wars novels. It was so like Coruscant wasn't this like like but it it is kind of like associated with the prequels, but it's like the capital of the Empire, and so and again like General Hux has like ascended too. He's become this like almost like Caligula, this like Roman emperor kind of, or like he aspires towards, like he's trying to do like political machinations back on the home planet, and like Kylo Ren is off on this vision quest, and so he's like, it's kind of like there's an opportunity there because like Kylo's kind of abandoned like the home turf to go like follow his like little Jedi thing, and so Hux is trying to take over, and so he's got like big holograms of himself kind of like ordering everybody around, General Hux, and then he's got this collection of lightsabers.
I love that. Like, it's so, his character felt like he had even in the screenplay, once again, a meteor like
an arc.
Yeah. But I loved how he is hating on the Jedi and Kylo Ren, but secretly he's like he has all this Jedi paraphernalia, and he's trying to like use the Force himself.
Yeah, he's like jealous of the Jedi, and he wants that power, and like the way he like meets his end is really interesting, and he meets his end like he commits ritual suicide with a lightsaber. Seppuku, yeah, but it's like a purple blade, so it's like he uses Sam Jackson's lightsaber. Like he has this collection of lightsabers taken from like fallen Jedi, and so it's like Sam Jackson kind of kills him like across time, and it's like really cool reference,
So I love that. Like, no, anytime Mace Windu, I always loved Mace Windu.
Yeah, I wanted his play. But, like, I wanted to see more of, like, and he was like a highlight of the prequels, and I wanted to see more of him, and like the Genndy Tartakovsky's animated like Clone Wars cartoons. You did get a lot of really cool like Mace Windu moments.
Oh yeah, like that is like now I'm obsessed. The general like the screenplay is even enhanced. I'm obsessed more by Hux killing himself with Windu's blade.
Yeah, it's just all all this great, like, again, like fan service, but I mean we're fans.
We're fans.
So like, but anyway, like, Kylo Ren is off on this quest, and like really echoes like what happens in the final script, like in a very condensed form. But he's like, he goes to Mustafar, which is like that was like Darth Vader's planet, which like you kind of see in Rogue One. But again, it's like a planet that is like referenced in like the old books, and it's a same with Sith. Like people think about Sith as being like a thing from the prequels, but you'd hear Darth Vader referred to as like Dark Lord of the Sith, like even back to like the Empire Strikes Back days, and so, like in all the press releases and stuff. But so he's on this quest, and it's like this world that is like black and red. It's like Darth Vader colors. I
love it.
And he finds the Jedi holocron. I think it.
Yeah, the holocron, which is the I think that when they described it in the screenplay, it looks like in the movie the Sith Wayfinder.
The Wayfinder,
like a green like pyramid kind of thing. That in the screenplay, like when he turns it on, it's the Emperor's hologram that projects out, and at some point it like picks up that it's, I think it's like, instead of James Bond, it's like for Vader's eyes only. So like when it realizes it's not Vader looking at it, like hurts him.
Right. Yeah. It's got like it's like this thing that because he's on Darth Vader's homeworld, like or Darth Vader's like throne, like where his castle is and stuff.
Oh, Darth Vader's, that would have been so awesome.
Yeah. Which was in Rogue One, and like he's talking on the this was like a communication device that the Emperor used to talk to Vader, and you get this kind of like moment. So Kylo Ren is seeing this message, and you like, I always like these moments where you get a sense of like Darth Vader and the Emperor's friendship. It's kind of heartwarming a little, even though it was like they were both looking for ways to like stab each other in the back and whatever. Like it is a little like it's a little comforting. You know, it's kind of like your dad and his friends. You kind of have. But he's like looking at it, and then it detects that this isn't Darth Vader, which is kind of an interesting meta commentary.
Cool, yeah.
And so then it starts like zapping him with this stuff that like messes up his face and like. And so he kind of becomes like a step closer to being kind of Vader-like, and then has to like go back to like his people where they like repair his face, like they work on his, and they can't and he starts getting these like electronic grafts.
I was thinking about you the whole time when I was reading that. They, how like you had mentioned before, like for Darth Vader, Doctor Doom-esque.
Yeah.
This time they weren't beating around the bush. Like they literally, it's like put the metal like on his face.
Yeah,
like,
it's the Doctor Doom like origin story.
Yeah. They didn't even like. They're just like they grafted it right to his face. And in the flick, I'm hoping for a spin-off of whoever that like chimp character with the ears that's fitting Kylo Ren's mask. It said, forget a Rogue One movie. I want a film dedicated to that guy that's rebuilding Kylo Ren's mask.
They had a lot of great little incidental characters that come, and like Babu Frick was kind of like the standout, like that little tiny guy.
Yeah.
And then there was like the what's it like the mole, like there was a mole inside of in the final movie, and like they had this guy who passed them on information who they like decapitate and stuff. And in this there's like a conspirator too, like there's
I can't remember, I want to call him Bossa Nova. Kova Boss Ross.
And he was kind of like unless I'm mixing characters up or something, but I think he was kind of like a Jabba the Hutt sort of character. Like he wasn't like a Hutt, but he would eat baby sharks and stuff. Like it reminded.
There was the guy that was.
Am I mixing up characters?
Sitting there was like crime lords sitting around a table, and the one guy was eating like the baby. Mm-hmm. There was another Ralph McQuarrie like pre-production shot that I saw of the person being decapitated, and it was like a laser. They had him like laying there like the mole person they were gonna in like a big crowd square.
Yeah, because they get more like with this movie and Rian Johnson's movie, they get a lot more into like what's going on like in the world of Star Wars for like ordinary people. So there is like these like public executions and decapitation by lightsaber maybe or something similar to a lightsaber.
Yeah, it was like wild. It was like a guillotine, but instead of a blade, it was like a little red like laser. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's wild.
Yeah, they get into that, and then they show like that opening scene in the script is at this kind of like migrant worker colony or something. So like and you see like people living in these like bad conditions, and you see and then later on you see like the underground of Coruscant, where there's this like kind of like resistance like this grassroots resistance movement that's not like directly connected to like the larger resistance of the series. So like you're getting a sense of the and again like I don't know how much that stuff works. Like I appreciate the ambition, but I do think like JJ has the right idea of kind of like just keeping it closer to just this core group and how things affect them. And when you start widening the scope and getting into like, okay, what's life like for I think there's an interesting opportunity there, but it does feel like it's moving away from what Star Wars is. Like,
because like with the screenplay, you're right. Like the screenplay, I'm like, okay, I felt the Force Awakens movie was huge. Yeah. I'm like, if they made a movie out of this screenplay, how much it's like it felt like even bigger scope than the flick itself.
And like one of the threads, like the ending of The Last Jedi, Luke says something like, see you around or be seeing you or like to Kylo Ren, and so it's like, okay, this is awesome. Like Kylo Ren is going to get haunted by Luke's ghost, and it's going to be like the reverse of Ben Kenobi, where like Ben Kenobi's like spurring Luke on and encouraging him and telling him you can do it and stuff, and then Luke is just going to be like, pissing on Kylo Ren, just taking him, like heckling his every move, and that happens in this script.
I know.
Like Kylo's on his quest, and Luke is just like taking him down.
Luke goes into roast mode.
He's
in roast mode. It's like you expect the Force Ghost to show up to lift you up and help you along. He was needling him the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then that moment. When Luke, like, there was some moments in the screenplay that I was just like, oh my gosh. One of them was when Luke grabs Kylo Ren's lightsaber as the Force Ghost during like their final battle with Rey, and I was like, Luke. Yes.
Like, I mean, when I was a kid, I read, like, there were, like, different drafts of, like, the movies. And there was, like, a draft of Return of the Jedi where Ben comes back and is no longer a Force ghost, but comes back in full flesh and joins Luke to fight the Emperor. And, like, but, like, one of the, like, there were all these stories of there being kind of, like, decoy scripts that
that's interesting.
That like Lucas did to kind of like throw people, disinformation, like to get people to
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that was possibly one of those, but like it still kept alive the sort of like option or the possibility that like, okay, maybe in one of these movies that can happen, like Luke could come back in like full corporeal form and like start kicking ass, or like even Han Solo, like the way he appears in Rise of Skywalker is kind of like, he seems like he's not a ghost, he's just like full flesh, and it's like I
started tearing up big time during like there was different points in the movie and in the screenplay when I was just like it hit me right here, and like in the movie Han's scene with when he's like, hey kid, I was like immediately tears started coming down my face.
Yeah, I think so many of the decisions they made for that movie were like just so strong and so good and like so kind of like offbeat. Like I am a huge like I'm a I'll go to the mat for that movie. Like I think JJ really pulled it off.
I was tearing up when Lando and Chewie showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and just like, I don't know, in Last Jedi, I was tearing up when Yoda came.
Yeah, Yoda, that was a big surprise. Like that was like, I loved it when Yoda showed up. I'm like, okay, this movie's giving me everything I could ever want. Yeah. And Yoda was so great. And again, like Yoda was like, he was like roasting Luke. And like it's so great when they come back and do that. Like you're just getting like scowled at by like the ghosts of your fathers, and and in like Leia's really great in this. She has all these great lines. Like when they bring in some like captured First Order members, she's like, "Cook them some dinner. They look thin."
I know, like, and then like during like the she had some great scenes when she was in Admiral Akbar's old chair. Like that would have been so awesome. Like her conducting the battle, like from that chair. Like, oh, Terry Fisher, we love you.
Yeah, and she gets like a stolen Star Destroyer.
Yes, they bring that to her, and it's loaded with like weaponry and everything.
Which get like so much of Rise of Skywalker felt like it came from the comic book Dark Empire by Tom Veitch and Cam Kennedy. So many of the beats and like they're here to, like the holocron comes from that. And like the rebellion having Star Destroyers that they there's a lot here.
That is, thank you for recommending that to me, by the way. That is amazing. I that's like one of my favorite comics.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite comics, and it's one of my favorite pieces of like Star Wars lore. Like and like all non-movie stuff. Like it's just such a great story. And like in this script, Luke is the Jedi Master, and then in the movie, like Leia's more the Jedi Master, and Luke kind of like he just kind of like shows up as a surprise. Like she's, kind of like, but in this it's like Luke's the one that Rey has the relationship with and keeps referring to, and they also like in the movie they seem to like studiously avoid romantic entanglements or whatever. Like they, like they went out of their way to like not, because like you were kind of wondering, like it seemed like they were heading towards like in the first movie, it was like, okay, Finn obviously has like feelings for Rey, and then in the second movie, it was like, Finn and Rose seem like they're heading towards a couple, and then in this script, it's like Poe and Rey are a couple, and they have some of those like sort of like romantic comedy action movie moments where it's like. There's some like
bad guy
stormtroopers come by, and then they have to like kiss
to like
as their cover.
Yeah, I just saw that, and they did that bit in Ronin with Robert De Niro. Like, so yeah, they did that classic move, and then they were sailing, I think, at one point. And that planet they were on wasn't that that was like Poe's home world.
Yeah,
and it was they had a great the Knights of Ren had a great action sequence there. The Knights of Ren seemed to be in the screenplay a lot more.
Yeah.
And whatever that post planet was, they were battling. They had that would have been a great action sequence. There was like lily pad like landing pads, and like they're getting on the Falcon, they're ready to book it, and then this pad comes down and like the bad guy ships on it. I was like, oh my God.
A lot of great action scenes, and then. Again, I'm having a hard time keeping all the different like planet names and stuff straight. But was that the same planet that gets blown up? Like, there's a planet that gets blown up.
The planet that that was a great action sequence too. I think that was the planet that they were on when they brought the Star Destroyer to. The Resistance was hiding
that was like
out
their base,
on.
and it gets blown up.
And they're escaping.
And again, like that was a thing that was in the final movie, was like all these Star Destroyers having like planet destroying weapons mounted to them.
Yeah.
And this had that too. And the planet blows up, and then there's this great chase scene, and they're flying through. There's like chunks of planet, and it's kind of like when Alderaan blows up. It's like far away. You just kind of it's like, but this is like okay, Alderaan blows up, and you're seeing pieces of all. So like they're flying through. Like okay, here's like an icy mountainscape. Like chunk of the world that they're flying through, and here's like a little lake or something.
Yeah,
that they're
like
flying through.
there was like a mountain.
Yeah,
that like was they said it like flipped upside down there, and the Knights of Ren they were in like a space battle, like escaping. That would have been so cool to see.
Yeah. So many great like action scenes, and so many great like you could picture the director kind of like getting together with the toy companies, which they do. Like they've been doing this for movies like since maybe like the Batman movies or something, where they get together and they're like, okay, here's all the costumes. And so like he has all these like cool variations on stormtroopers. There's like brute troopers and like mech troopers, and then there's like these like mini AT-ATs that are like that they like ride through the city on.
Like I always love this. It's like, Tom, I got Luke in Bespin gear.
Yeah.
Like, I've got Poe in his home planet gear. in the one, I keep going back to these like pre-production things, but the one picture I saw had some AT-STs that like, I don't know if like the Resistance folks on Coruscant had like commandeered.
Well, they do in the script. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then they had drawn like a mouth on it.
Okay, yeah, like some of that like World War II kind of stuff.
Yes.
Where where you make it looks like the plane's a shark or something.
Yes, it was so awesome.
Like Kylo Ren, like there's all this stuff with like smashing masks. So he like smashes his mask in like the second movie of the new trilogy, and then in this one he like takes Darth Vader's mask and like drops it, and lets it like shatter, and this script has a lot of that stuff of like, oh, the dark and the light, and like and that like the dark side is like this necessary thing, and possibly even like a good like thing that like balances important and correction, and that it was like good that Darth Vader and the Emperor like killed off all those Jedi, and like that whole philosophy to me is like, it's such a turnoff. Like I think it's like horse shit, and like I don't like it just rings so hollow to me. Like that was another thing from because I feel like that's a product of the prequel trilogy that they and like to me it's like it like, I mean, pain is inevitable and necessary, and and sadness and things, but like to me like suffering is not like it's not like, oh, it's a good thing that all these horrible things happen to people, like it's not like, and it's just like a bad philosophy it's like a defeatist philosophy, and that you can like we should aspire towards like a world where there isn't like suffering. Yeah, and that suffering isn't this like great like because it does really pose it as that like, and it's been that way since the pre and again, like I hate seeing it. Like there is no downside to kindness and goodness and love, and you know, like it's just shitty philosophy, and I feel like I had to like get that on the reading this script. I had to get that on the record.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you got it on the record too. Like I'm totally on board with that too. Like we
needed the empire to massacre all these people. Like it was necessary. It's like no, fuck that. You know, that's not.
He'll massacre all these people. But it's like it's reaching for some kind of balance.
Yes, he's created balance to the. I don't like it. I don't like it.
The one part was more like a huge pop when Chewie got in the X-wing fighter in the script.
Yeah,
and that was totally like Trevorrow definitely was just vibing on his like action figure moves, like
because you know you put Chewbacca
Chewie in the X-wing. I put Chewbacca in the X-wing and like. I wish I could have got that on, like, in the
script. Well, that's kind of like a callback, too, because the earliest script for A New Hope that Lucas did, the climactic battle was, like, they go to the Chewbacca's planet, Kashyyyk, or whatever it's called, and then they kind of teach the Wookiees how to fly X-Wing fighters, and so then that like, trench run and stuff... That was going to be all Wookiee. It was going to be like Luke Skywalker and a bunch of Wookiees in X-Wing fighters. So it's kind of like a callback to that.
That's amazing. Like, yeah, with the one, you know, the X-Wing toy, Chewie definitely went in the cockpit. Mm-hmm. So it was great to see him, like, he did like he pulled like a Batwing move, getting hit and then sliding down to like the Capitol.
Yeah. Chewie, like you know, it's so nice having him like part of, you know, like an important part of all these movies.
I love Chewbacca.
The more the better. Yeah.
If somebody was like, you've got to tell your favorite Star Wars character, or you put a gun to your head, it might be Chewie. Mm-hmm. I think I might say Chewbacca. In the flick when they were thought his transport blew up, I was like, if Chewie's dead, I'm turning in my Star Wars card. But then, like, when he came back, I was like, wait, he's alive? Like, you gotta kill Chewie.
Yeah, right, yeah. So you already made peace with him.
I'm like, he can't. They're like, he was on the other transport. I was like, you got to kill Chewbacca. No, but I'm glad Chewie is alive.
They, like, in this script, like, you know, like Kylo Ren, like from the first, like from The Force Awakens on, is kind of like he's like evil Luke Skywalker. He's like on his evil character arc, his like anti-hero arc, and he wants, teach me the dark side of the Force, Master. And then, I'm tempted by the light side of the Force. And so he finds like his Yoda. Like Snoke is his teacher, and so now he finds like the guy who like is like the Yoda of the dark side. He like taught everybody. He taught the Emperor.
I think I got Tor Valum.
Tor Valum. Like he taught the guy who taught the Emperor, Darth Tyrannus or whatever. And he's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like, Snoke got killed off in the middle of The Last Jedi. So it's kind of like, he's kind of like, okay, we need like Ben Kenobi got killed off in Star Wars, so we need somebody to be like the evil so they create this guy, and he's like older, and it's awesome, and like he's gonna teach Kylo Ren like the dark side and how to suck life force
that was
out
pretty
of
cool.
And he like is able to heal himself, like heal all those, so he becomes kind of like a Darth Vader, and then he heals himself, and it is kind of like, you see how that played out in the final movie, where it's like Rey learns how to like move life energy from one creature to, and it's like a good version of, it's like a good, where she's like moving her own energy into like that snake to heal it.
Yeah.
And in this, and then the teacher is kind of keeping Kylo on like a short leash and stuff, and then Kylo like obliterates it. It's like if Luke killed Yoda or something.
I think they're on, what is it, Mortis? I think
Mortis,
okay. And like because he was sucking like the life force out of different creatures on there, like training, and then that's the planet where Rey makes her way there for like their final
Yeah, I'm so unclear about like the plan. Again, you know, like, if we have read this thing a couple times, maybe, but like I'm not sure if it is the same planet or if there's like another, like there's like a Jedi planet.
Oh yeah,
that they go to for the final. Yeah, there's like it's like a separate planet. They go to this Jedi planet where it's got two thrones, and it's got the throne of the light and the throne of the dark. That's like part of these prophecies. And again, like those are all the references that I was talking about. Like, oh my god, you know, like. That like it, you know, two people are going to be on the throne and one's going to be the light side, one's going to be the dark side, and yeah, it's like this, you know, and they're like, you know, do this final battle on this like snowy mountaintop, and
Rey gets blinded.
Yeah, she becomes like the blind swordsman.
I popped so like that was probably. If I had to pick like my favorite moment in the screenplay, whenever she takes her bandage off and like wraps around her head and ties it, I was like,
yeah, that is like, you know, samurai movies are like such a big like, you know, thing for Star Wars, and that's like a samurai movie trope. That's like Zatoichi, and she becomes, you know, and even like Luke having those blinders on and sword fighting with the remote on the Millennium Falcon in the first movie. Is like, you know, that's all a callback to that stuff of like, you know, you can become a master swordsman
without seeing,
you know, without seeing because you're like part of your blade, and so like, yeah, that was like that last battle was like, you know, it was you know, epic and awesome, maybe in like a more conventional way than what ended up in the final movie. Like I like how offbeat and like somber and like the final, you know, lightsaber battle was in the actual movie. Like it was really unexpected. Like but yeah, this is like, you know, giving you what you want. Like, this is like, you know, fist pumping, you know.
That setting for the final battle in the flick, to the callback to the comic that you recommended.
Yeah, Dark Empire.
Seeing the like the Emperor's like clone machines, they were so awesome in the movie, and like just that setting, like you got the Sith crowd.
Yeah, he had this kind of like zombie empire that he had set up. You know, it was like a Walking Dead kind of thing. Like even like the Star Destroyers like rise up out of the ground.
That's so awesome. And then you like when they're up in the sky and like the lightning's flashing, and you can see just like exactly how many are up there. It's like that's so awesome.
The like we get to know the Knights of Ren a lot better in the, like, because everybody was so like, you know, kind of worked up about, the Knights of Ren, what is that? and you didn't quite, and maybe it's for the best that they remained these kind of like mysterious characters, but in here they are like major heavies. Yes. And they're like, and we get to know them up close, and we get to know their individual personalities, and then like Rey takes over their ship, the Knife, it's called like the Knife Nine, which like rewatching Rise of Skywalker, like the ship that they have does look kind of like a knife, and so again, like that's probably one of those like toy company conversations that happens, you know, early on, and you know, ended up.
We need the Knights of Ren ship.
Oh, and Princess Leia, like gets on the Imperial transport, you know, that was like a big part of like Return of the Jedi, that kind of like 3-winged ship. She's on one and it is kind of like a nice callback, and like this is the third one, this is the Return of the Jedi, and she's like this like new you know, sort of like the antithesis of the Emperor, this kind of like luminous you know, benevolent figure, and she's having conversations with Luke's ghost again, and they're like
I really liked those in the screenplay, to when they're, and just like in the movie when they called like all ships on deck, bring them all in, like in the screenplay they used, I can't remember how they alerted everybody.
It was a Jedi beacon, and like that's why the heroes had to go to Coruscant. Like this does that Star Wars thing where like the teams split up into sub teams, and you go to this planet and fight this battle. You go to and like it's such a Star Wars thing, but like JJ's big like kind of revelation with that movie was like, we really want to see these characters together. Like we want to see them together. Like the fans want to see, because you know, we really like this group, and like to see them all on like one last adventure together. And I think that was smart. And even Lucas had that feeling with Return of the Jedi. Like there was initially the script for Return of the Jedi was you have all that Jabba the Hutt planet stuff, and then they blow up the Jabba's like desert skiff or whatever, and then they're heading towards the Falcon. The whole team is heading towards the Falcon to like leave Tatooine, and then the Emperor. I mean, not the Emperor, but like the Empire's been waiting there for them. Like stormtroopers are there and stuff, and they capture Luke and then bring Luke to Darth Vader. And so and go straight from there, and which is a cool idea because like I did always kind of wonder like, okay, why isn't there like an Imperial detachment waiting for like them to show up to rescue Han Solo?
Yeah.
But so that was in the initial version. But Lucas decided like if we do that, like I want them to have like a moment like in the middle of the movie, or towards the front of the middle, where like all these characters that we love can sort of be together like they were like on the Death Star in the first movie, and like have like these nice moments together before they go off in their like sort of like final destinies. And so like JJ did that, and in here they split up, and it is kind of like it would have been nice to have the whole crew together.
I totally agree with that. Like the because even in Return of the Jedi, I've watched it like 1,000 times, and the scene I always forget is in there is when Darth Vader's talking to Luke Skywalker on Endor on that like landing pad, and I'm like, I just forget that's even like when he's like, this guy turned himself in. I forget that's even in the movie.
And that's like such a core scene, like Return of the Jedi, for all like the criticisms against it, and I have criticisms of it too, but like I feel like that was such a bold move too, that like that Luke like submits himself to the, like that the sort of self-sacrifice rather than like getting captured or fighting, like that was an interesting twist, and kind of like really like elevates that.
I
that
do
movie,
like that he wasn't like scooped up.
Yeah, he wasn't like against his, it was like he realized this is the way to, and like even though he's going into certain death, like this is the way he has to kind of like rescue his father, and even with like all of like Darth Vader's resistance to like it just I think that was like a really strong call, like a really good call. One of the First Order generals is called Commander Selleck, and I wondered if he wrote that for like Tom Selleck be like one of those guys in like the gray suit or what,
Oh, that would have been awesome.
And Bosk shows up, and Bosk is like he's like a mogul, like he's like Jabba the Hutt, which is kind of again another like the Bosk, he's got this minor cameo in Empire Strikes Back, but like as a kid you got the Bosk toy, so of course he was on way more adventures.
I'm all in on Bosk. I love his green skin with his like yellow like suit.
Yeah,
and he's got these like long arms.
And he's kind of like a callback to like old Star Trek, or like he looks like a Gorn or something. And then Lando runs like a cabaret, kind of like a Weimar Republic, kind of like the something you'd see in the movie Cabaret or something. It's like kind of this like last refuge of kind of like freedom, as sort of this like oppressive thing is going on large, and he's like, it's like he's running a front, to kind of like smuggle, and like Leia goes there to kind of convince him to like enlist, like he's got all these connections, get an army together, and I think that's what started us on this topic, was talking about that Force beacon. So they go to Coruscant to activate this like old, and it's in the Jedi temple.
Yes.
That's like in the prequels. And it's like Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King, where like they light the beacon and it like goes across the country, and then like everybody shows up, and that's like touched on in the final movie here, but in the script it's like much more of the MacGuffin that they're all fighting to do, and just kind of get that that word out to have like all the ragtag
bring them in. Mm-hmm. The on that team, it was like Finn and Rose are like the folks that are trying to get that machine up and running. I think Rose gets captured. Oh, this is another Easter egg moment when Rose is captured, and I think they're like torturing her, and they're like, "Give us the code," and she's like, I thought she mentions like I should remember something easy like Life Day.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're coming out with a Star Wars holiday special. Like it's a Lego Star Wars holiday special. So it's like, the Star Wars holiday special is finally, getting some of its due and the acknowledging its importance.
Yes.
In the canon.
I love the holiday special. And this shout out to my buddy Colin. He mentioned that it's the purest untouched Star Wars property.
Right. It hasn't been exploited to death. And Rose and General Hux, who I think in this is he's become doesn't he have a different title? Like he's like Senator Hux, or he's like Pontius Hux, or he's got some kind of Roman nomenclature. But they have a great scene together where he's trying to do force magic on her, trying to and she's like, it's not working.
She's like, are you trying to use the force
on
me? And you got Finn. He has a big monologue, I think, a decent side with. Remember, he grabs a flag and he's up on
it's what's it Les Miserables or something, because it is they're there's this character Dade who they meet, who is again it's a kind of character. It kind of is a little bit of a callback to Last Jedi, because he's got the rebellion ring or the resistance ring where he's like, I'm with you guys, and he shows them the ring, which was a feature there. But he's kind of he's this kid who's involved in the underground of Coruscant, and so Finn's getting them together and then there's a bunch of city combat and stuff.
Oh, the combat scene when Finn was in the sewer, was that creature like the thing that was in the trash compactor kind of?
Yeah, there's kind of a reference. He's in this gelatin, it's almost like this Jello that's made out of garbage, and Finn gets stuck in it, and then Womp Rats are involved too. Yeah. And this character Dade, we did an episode which we had to scrap just for technical reasons, but we did an episode where we talked about the scripts for the Tim Burton Batman movies, Batman and Batman Returns, and Dade in this is kind of what Robin was in the second script. Both scripts introduced Robin, and they both introduced him in totally different ways. But in that, he was kind of part of this kind of underground, and was fighting against sort of oppression within the city. There was kind of this Guardian Angels style, Sons of Batman, vigilante group, on. That he and he's kind of this street kid, and we're trying to convince him to do whatever, and Dade is kind of that role in this. He's
I was getting Batman bat signals, and I think that's
even that force beacon is kind of a cosmic bat signal.
Was it the Capitol building that was a ship that was trying to make an escape?
Yeah, the whole Capitol building was going to fly away, and I guess that was how Hux was going to get away or something. Yeah, all this great, and all these fights on scaffolding and stuff as TIE fighters are flying by shooting at them. All this Star Wars stuff, they don't leave. There's not a scrap of meat left on the bone. They end up doing something with every little bit and piece. So I'm assuming at some point there's going to be a comic, based on adaptation of this script, or a direct to digital. Animated thing based on this or something, but it's a really cool little story. We'll see a version of this at some point, but it's this really nice story that caps things off in a really nice way. Really smart, really fun, and again, I think what the movie we ended up seeing was amazing, and was again a superior product. But again, who knows? This wasn't going to be the fun. He would have done his thing with this. So I'm sure this would have been really, really stellar too. But,
I like having them both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's one day you watch the movies and we love them. They're iconic. They're there. They can't. But it's there's that script there. Maybe I want to delve in and vibe out on it.
Mm-hmm. This was the end of Star Wars. Again, it's kayfabe or whatever. It's we know, we all know that this isn't the last Star Wars, but it's we're all pretending this is the last Star Wars.
We're never I don't ever expect to see another Star Wars.
Right, exactly. And I think they already had the date announced for the next Star Wars movie, but it's still like this is the end of the Star Wars movie, and they do everything to kind of sell you on that, and like there's a capper on it, and like when the movie came out and stuff, like I loved it. It was awesome, but then like after the week after or something, I started getting so bummed out, like because it did feel like, even though intellectually I knew it's not the end of Star Wars, it felt like the end of Star Wars, and at least the end of like the Skywalker story, and just the fact of like that, like just like that genetically, the Emperor's genetic material outlasted the Skywalker genetic material. Like Rey is so awesome, and it is like she's her own person, and even though her grandfather is a piece of shit, that doesn't mean anything. Like she could be anything she wants to be, and that's awesome and stuff. But it is like, I feel like the Emperor would take great satisfaction knowing that, okay, like my genes are still out and the Skywalkers are erased from the earth. There are no more Skywalker. There's no more Skywalker genes floating around, but again, like that, these Star Wars movies, they are kind of like, they're from a different tradition. They are kind of like mystical, and like that's a very materialist interpretation of things. But like these stories do harken back to like almost like medieval storytelling or something, where there are these kind of like spiritual victories that like maybe you die or whatever, but like you have a spiritual victory, and Rey is spiritually a Skywalker, even though like her biology is Sidious or Palpatine or whatever, and that she's spiritually a Skywalker, so that's important. And then like these movies, they like it's a real bummer that like Kylo Ren, like it wasn't like at the end she shows up at like Resistance headquarters, like, look who I got with me. He's with us now. This is my friend Kylo. Like, and we're gonna, and he's Ben Solo now, and we're gonna, like, I understand why that doesn't work as an end, but it's like, it's kind of like,
I know.
But again, it's like these movies have like there's a demonstrable afterlife where you can actually, like, there's proof, and you can talk to people and see. So it's like not as much of a bummer when somebody dies, because like their ghost, is
still going to be around.
And again, talking about that early draft of Return of the Jedi, where Ben returns in the flesh, like fully formed Ben Kenobi returns, like maybe if like the money's right or whatever, like Kylo Ren's gonna come back as is this like that
Does the
that
check
is an
clear?
option. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think they like kind of killed him off definitively, because I think Adam Driver's like, I'm not doing any more of these, and I think that's why they didn't resolve like a lot of like the romantic storylines or whatever with the other characters, because it's like they're probably gonna pop up again. It's just like Adam Driver was like, I'm done with this, but again, like. Never saying it. A lot of people said they were done with it. J.J. Abrams said he was done with Star Wars. Harrison Ford said he was done with Star Wars.
They thought they were out, but they pulled them back in.
Yeah.
bring him back, and be like, he's with us now.
Hey, Yoda came back? I didn't expect to see Yoda again.
I love that. No, that's like in like the RPGs, like when you beat the bad guy, he can like maybe he'll join your party.
Right, yeah.
And like
I didn't like it would have added like to an already stuffed and long-running movie. It would have added a whole other section where everybody's like, hey, Kylo, like they pull out their guns, what's he doing? Oh, no, it's okay, he's with us.
And then the party goes along, then they pick up somebody else.
Any final thoughts about this or Star Wars in general? Since again, this is the end of more Star Wars.
Well, just like it's no more than it's like we'll never do another episode on anything Star Wars related.
Yeah, this is the final word on Star Wars.
I could talk anytime about anything Star Wars related. Like, I love it so much, and I'm glad they keep making. I'm glad there's more stuff. The Star Wars universe keeps expanding.
Me too. Like, I have like no complaint. Like, I could have only dreamed of living in the world where there's like a Star Wars movie every year or every other year, or like that. Like, I love it. And I've enjoyed all of them, like to varying degrees. But even like Solo, I thought Solo was awesome. Like
yeah, like the with the prequels, those like. I would say the prequels were we're still going to end on a high note.
Right, yeah.
We're still going out. We're still keeping it positive, but I would say that was like my Star Wars, like the trough of.
Well, yeah, like when the prequels were coming out, like I was kind of watching them, and I was like, why did George Lucas wait this long? Like, I understand waiting a long time and getting everything right if you're going to put out this, like, great movie or whatever. But if they're going to be crappy anyway, just, like, keep them. Don't make us wait 10 years. Just keep them. If they're going to be this bad, I think you can create movies this bad and have one every year.
The cinematic, like, the Sonic equivalent of the Phantom Menace would be, like, I don't think it's as bad as the Phantom Menace, but like Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy album.
Okay,
like,
yeah, exactly. Like, what was the wait?
There was, yeah, like they kept the fans waiting. It's just like, just release it, Axel. Just make the flick, George.
Yeah, and my tolerance for what a Star Wars movie has to be is very low. So it's like these like new ones. It's like, yes, they more than meet my, like, I just want to, like, enjoy it, have some fun. I want to, like, enjoy the characters. I want to like the people involved, and then, like, take me to, like, whatever planet you want to go to.
Yeah, like this new trilogy is kind of like shaking off, like, the prequel moss off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish, like, these had come out, like, right, in place, like, in the prequel time. But I'm glad we're getting.
Yeah, I wish there were, like, a bunch of Star Wars movies between Return of the Jedi and the prequels, and then a bunch of movies between the prequels and the new trilogy, because like, that was my only complaint about those prequels, was that this is all the Star Wars you're getting. Like, we had to wait so long for Star Wars, and this is it. Like, I wouldn't mind them so much
if they were just like a blip on the radar.
It's like, okay, I didn't like this last Star Wars so much, but maybe the next one will be good.
Yeah, there was a time when, like, my buddy and I, we'd call each other on the phone, and, like, we just talk, and at some point the conversation would veer into the prequels.
Yeah, it is. No, I've made a lot more peace with the prequel, again, because they are more of a blip now. Like, there have been a lot more blips. Like I'm able to look back.
Prequel scars. I think I'm gonna try to follow the Jedi path and try to heal the prequel scars are still. And then when she appears at the end, it felt like Kane from Kung Fu when she showed up at Out of the Sunset to Finn and Rose's. They were like Finn and Rose's school for gifted Jedis.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It has, like, a really nice epilogue. Like, I do like the epilogue in this, where she is like, where, like, Finn and Rose have kids. They have, like, adopted kids, and then maybe they have like orphans and things, and then I think they might even have kids together, like biological kids. And then and they're training the next generation, and then Rey comes in. And she's gonna that was a really nice epilogue. Yeah.
Tom, this was a great episode.
Yeah, this was fun. Yeah.
I can talk Star Wars anytime.
Yeah, and you can see, like, we can go real deep with, like, minutia and geeking out, and
Yeah, we, like, the smallest detail will cause us to pop.
Right. Yeah.
And it ain't cheap heat either. cheap pop, I meant.
So I mean, I guess we'll wrap it up. That's Star Wars. It's done. We put a capper on it. We've given, like, the definitive interpretation of the entire Star Wars thing. The cultural force.
Anything we mentioned about Star Wars will be taken in a positive light.
Yeah, sure.
In a positive light, and we're never going to see another Star Wars movie again. This is the end.
So you've been watching Total Recall. I'm Tom Scholey, and I follow me on Twitter at Tom Scholey, and Instagram Tom_Scholey, and I have a book out called Jack Kirby: The Epic Life of the King of Comics. Awesome. And I have another book that came out just prior to that called Fantastic Four Grand Design. So if you like what you've heard here, check that stuff out.
I'm Matt Zioli, and you can follow me on Instagram at cinema_tomb. A lot of fun movie stuff going on over on that Instagram channel.
Yeah, I really like your Instagram.
Yeah, I enjoy talking about flicks over there. So follow me on Instagram.
Okay, and we'll catch you later.
May the Force be with you.
Yes, may the Force be with you.
Always.